Hello everyone, it's Al Nygren, director of the New Jersey Film Festival, back here with the second of our filmmaker interviews for the Spring 2016 New Jersey Film Festival, which will be taking place at Rutgers University between January 30th and March 4th. We'll be screening films at 7 p.m. on select Friday, Saturday, and Sunday evenings between those dates. And you can get complete information about our festival at our website, which is www.njfilmfest.com. Or you can call us at our hotline at 848-932-8482. Leave a message and we'll call you right back. Today, we have the director of a wonderful environmental documentary entitled Backwater. His name is Jonathan Kors. Welcome, Jonathan.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Jonathan, I was able to watch your film again, and I was struck by how blissfully serene it is. And people don't know that it takes place in the Meadowlands, which is the swamps of Jersey, I guess that Springsteen refers to. How did you embark on this project?
Well, you know, when I moved to New York, I used to live in Alaska. And so when I moved to New York, it was kind of a big shift. And I kept finding myself looking for these kind of like wilderness pockets. And when I was flying into Newark one day, you know, somebody else had just mentioned this earlier, you just see this like kind of whole landscape that's like kind of hidden when you're actually in New Jersey or heading to Manhattan. And so I started looking at this place in much more detail. And then over time, I realized that the New Jersey Meadowlands had the highest concentration of artificial flavoring factories in the world. And so the original project started out as this sort of Marco Polo-esque adventure, visiting, you know, the spice trade or the artificial, you know, the 21st century artificial flavoring or 21st century spices. And so it was going to be this canoe trip that basically went from artificial flavoring factory to artificial flavoring factory. And then that idea kind of evolved over time to kind of get at the core of it, which was kind of my interest in this sort of recovering wilderness area and this particular oasis or abyss that kind of disappeared within the public view.
Well, you know, a lot of people consider the Meadowlands the lungs of the city of New York because you have supposedly all of this growth and that absorb the pollution from the city. And yet, I guess what's neat about your film is that you take it on as a mission. You have how many people on the mission with you?
Yeah.
And you take canoes and you have provisions as if you're going on a camping trip, you know, or an adventure.
Absolutely, yeah.
And yet at the same time, I was struck by how much debris you came across on this adventure. You know, it's supposed to be the lungs of New York, but it's like somebody who's been smoking for 30 years. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what folks can expect from your very wonderful film.
Well, you know, it's basically a group of 7 of us spending 10 days on the Hackensack River, starting at the headwaters and then canoeing all the way down to Newark Bay. And, you know, it takes us, you know, I guess, 10 days. And over the course of those 9 nights, each night we kind of experience a different part of the river, a different aspect of the river. And that can be from changes in the tides. At one point, one of our campsites got flooded. To another point, we ran into kind of a random wilderness fire. And so it was this constant, like, battle between the elements and what was surrounding us from, you know, both the city of New York and in New Jersey.
But do you consider your film a kind of environmental film or a politically environmental film? Is it making a statement or is it just what it is?
I mean, I think it is making a statement. I don't know if it's necessarily making an environmental statement in the strictest sense, but it's the discussion that I'm kind of interested in is kind of looking forward. So we're at this current stage where we're starting to consider the environment that we're living in to belong to the Anthropocene, so this geologic era made by humans. And so if we're at this point, within this environmental struggle between wanting to go back to where we were, which increasingly seems less likely, to kind of giving up because the problem seems unsolvable. My film is kind of looking at that middle path. Like, what is the value in an area that has either been destroyed or is a recovering wilderness area, and what does that wilderness look like moving forward?
Yeah, and I think the fact that you see that, and one of the elements that after seeing the film a couple of times, is how peaceful the film is. Mm-hmm. The hustle and bustle is right around the corner. I mean, there's one point where you're right next to the New Jersey Turnpike rest stop. I remember that rest stop. I've stopped there many times. And right behind there is, it's so quiet, it's so peaceful, and it's so antithetical to what's all around it. So that's why I asked if you thought it was an environmental film. And I guess on the one hand, hats off to the fellow who shot the film.
Yeah, there were a couple of people. Yeah, they did an excellent job.
A really beautiful film. It looks wonderful. And to the other players, too. I really like the first-person introductions that you have at the beginning of the film, so we get to know who's there. And how did you pick those guys?
It was kind of random. It was people that had expressed interest, people that, we were kind of trying to find a team. Each person kind of had their own specific role. And so people that kind of fit.
So they weren't buddies and, that kind of thing?
No, it was like a fairly new team.
Gotcha.
I was kind of the only person that was the connection between everybody.
I told you that when I first started filming myself off the New Jersey Turnpike, a state trooper came right up and said, "Oh, you can't film here."
Right.
Did you run into some situations like that as well in your film?
Yeah, constantly. And to get back a little bit at the rest area, one thing that we found that was kind of shocking is that we could be camping just 100 feet from the turnpike, and we could be in our own world, and the turnpike was in its own world. And nobody noticed us. And it's while we were in the Meadowlands, we were kind of like hidden from the world. And the minute we kind of came close to that edge where like the Meadowlands hit civilization, we immediately ran into trouble. And so we did have run in with landowners, with the police, and it was always this like kind of awkward conversation between what is public, what is private, what is legal, what is illegal.
Yeah.
And so it was always kind of interesting, and people for the most part were really understanding, though confused.
Well, the jury really loved your film, and folks,
thanks.
you're going to love it too. We're going to be screening this film on Friday, February 12th, and John Kors will be there to do a Q&A and introduce the film. So folks, please come and join us. Again, Friday, February 12th at 7 p.m. in Voorhees 105 at Rutgers University campus in New Brunswick, New Jersey. General admission is $12 for the general public and $10 for students and seniors. Please come and join us. And thanks so much for listening, and thanks so much for coming.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Stick it in our bucket. There we go. Sweet. It's beautiful.
We are right around here. So here is the highway. So we're going to paddle against the wind, so it'll be a little bit rough in the beginning. Basically, we're going to have to go over here, and then we can go get some more water. All right, our boats are drifting away.